Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade. This is going to be a super quick edition because I am currently in film school. I'm a film student. I just got through doing a pretty much an all day shoot. Been on my feet for 12 hours, so I'm just going to make this super quick. But anyway, I'm continuing on with my Superman recap series by reviewing Superman to 2, directed by Richard Lester, and once again starring Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman, as well as Terrence Stamp. And in a nutshell, this is one where I feel more or less this pretty much the same way I feel about the first one, where it's super fun, it's super enjoyable, it's really good, but it's not great. It's not sweeping me off my feet, and that is once again just partially due to the fact that it's a bit dated, especially when it comes to Superman and Lois's relationships, or Clark Kent's relationship, both of them. There's something that happens with their relationship, like particularly near the end, where you probably know what I'm talking about. But let's just say Superman does something that is a little bit shady, in my opinion. But outside of that, and of course, there's the camp. It's actually an improvement in the arena of like threats of villains. If you remember from my review of the first Superman movie, I was just kind of like, Dean Hackman definitely plays a good Lex Luthor, but like his plan, when you explain it, it's just kind of like weak, low stakes. I'm just kind of like, what? This is what the criminal mastermind wants to do? But here we have a threat that's able to match Superman in the form of 3 Kryptonians led by General Zod, played by the great Terrence Stamp, who crushes it as this character. And that definitely made for a more interesting dynamic between hero and villain, because these guys can physically hurt Superman. And not only that, but they they strategically know how to hurt him, how to get under his skin, how to really dismantle him. And that definitely made for an engaging watch. And there's also something here with Superman struggling with his dual role, his dual identity as Clark Kent and of course Superman, that I definitely found interesting as well. But the problem here is that neither of those plot lines, neither with our super badass villains or Superman struggling with his dual role, I feel like they just don't have enough breathing room in this movie. Like, these problems are brought up, and then I felt like they were just kind of resolved too quickly, so we can kind of get to the big showdown. And they're both like very anticlimactic, and I'm going to assume that's due to the very well documented drama between Richard Donner, who was originally attached to come back and direct this movie, but he and the Salkinds, the ones who produced these Christopher Reeve Superman films, had a falling out, and he was replaced with Richard Lester. And I know like there does exist Superman to the Donner cut, so I'm gonna assume that obviously a lot from that original vision was taken out, only some stuff was left in, and that original vision, which I can watch, and I definitely will make a point of tracking that one of these days, will probably give those things more breathing room, and definitely at the very least contain a more fleshed out story. But nonetheless, with all of that being said, I still do enjoy those two things being a part of it. Christopher Reeve, in my opinion, definitely shines even a little bit more here, because he's given more to do. He's given more of a dynamic with like I said, that internal struggle between Clark Kent and having to be Superman. It definitely reminds me of a movie that, in my opinion, did it a little bit better. That would come out two decades later, starring another famous superhero, but it's still done very well. Here, once again, I really did love watching Superman clash with General Zod and his henchmen. All 3 of them were very interesting, even the one who he's just basically the big brute, but I liked how they were a match for Superman. And not only that, their whole thing was, we're not only going to physically hurt this guy, we're going to break him down spiritually, because we're here to rule this planet, and we can't have another Kryptonian competing with us. So I thoroughly enjoyed that when all of that was going down. Like I said, I just can't get over the relationship between Kent and Lois Lane. Lois Lane is a bit more annoying here. There's something that she does that's I'm just kind of like, why the fuck would you do that? So still, like I said, some of it hasn't aged well, but wrapping it up, I still enjoy Superman 2 on the same level that I enjoy the first Superman. I'm able to look past those flaws and still enjoy this for, just like being that early blueprint of what the superhero blockbuster will become. It does a lot of stuff well. Christopher Reeve still nails that as Superman. Terrence Stamp is brilliant here as General Zod. I even liked, seeing Gene Hackman back as Lex Luthor. His plan here actually makes more sense. So wrapping it up, I'm going to go ahead and give Superman 2 a solid 9 out of 10. I enjoyed just as much as the first one. It's still a solid movie. We're not going to talk about Superman 3 and 4, so that's a wrap that's my wrap, at least for the two Christopher Reeve Superman movies I actually want to look at. Next time is going to be Superman Returns. This has been another edition of Weight Watchers, and I'll see you lovely people next time. Peace.